Good evening, all. Thank you for joining us at Parents Engaging Parents Community Beloved Check-in Wednesday, November 8th. We are truly delighted to have each and every one of you here today as we come together to address the matters that center around our vision and our mission. Let's get started with definitely saying thank you to our sponsors. And we know our sponsorship starts with our parents, our community leaders, our grassroots initiative, where we gather resources available while supporting, sponsoring, real organizing opportunities with transitional synergies. And this energy is led by real and powerful leaders, council, which are ready to engage men all in leadership now, and the power of women engaged readily to unify leadership is a council that supports our work. And we also want to thank the Terrell Fund and also Industrials Bank who are putting their time, energy, and resources to continue to allow us to have this evening of engaging. For a briefer reminder, PEP's mission is dedicated to foster civic awareness, proactive community action, all grounded in the interests of parents and community leaders. Our vision, on the other hand, is to empower and nurture leadership and build cohorts that could bring about transformative change for parents and community leaders. We aim to activate and to achieve this through collaborative community engagement at local cities with leaders and parents throughout New Jersey. Today, we want to really take a focus and have a discussion around two things. One, which is our main topic today, and that's savings, which we'll be featuring today as our discussion. But we're also going to talk about what took place yesterday and understanding the importance of doing our civic duties and voting. But before we get into all of that and before we take that journey, I definitely want to definitely discuss what's going on in a couple of days, and that's our events. We're going to definitely, once again, this is our fifth year. We're going to move throughout the state and with some of our partners and give out over 4,000 new winter coats to children. We already have two this month that we've engaged in, and we have several already booked and ready to go in December. Shout out to our leaders, Troy Singleton out in Burlington County, our leader, and congratulations to both of them for their movement and furthering their advantage. And when I say both of them, also thank you to Angela Cares, who also continues to be a supporter, and their leader, Angela McKnight, and also successful on be strong strengthening the opportunity for their leadership to shine in our state as they both succeeded in their elections yesterday. And then we want to definitely say that we're going to have on November 21st the opportunity to work again with Pastor Paul and Rock and Life Church, and once again give out winter coats as they continue in their annual feeding and giving out of food during these holiday seasons. So always fresh. We'll be having a soup for the souls on November 18th, and Rock and Life will be on November 21st. In both events, we have registration for brand new winter coats for the children here in the city of Newark. And be on the lookout for more events being understood, being shared, and more opportunities for engagement. And scan, if you can, the QR code where you'll be able to get involved in the different things that we're doing right now. So if you go right here, right in the corner, up that corner, and really take opportunity to scan the QR code and get involved with the things that we're doing. So I want to bring in a friend, a friend of the family, a friend of the community, someone who, as we introduced last week, has some history with your guy. You guys continue to give me the opportunity to stand on shoulders and be in a position of leadership. But I always love to introduce individuals who allowed me to do that early in my career, in my journey. And that's Miss Karen Highsmith, who is currently now the vice president of organizing management at the Historical Industrials Bank, and will be joining us for a couple of weeks. Man, let me rephrase that: several weeks of almost 7 weeks, where we're on our actually second week now, but 7 weeks of financial understanding and practice building up a literacy, that we can really start going down these rabbit holes of engagement and really starting to put together some strategies of really turning that knob on our family's wealth, on our individual wealth, and even just the wealth we need to start seeing in our community. So we're gonna thank Ms. Highsmith for joining us again. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. Pardon me, I was rushing through right now because I was late, and I hate when I start late because I've said 6:30 and people are waiting for 6:30. So pardon me running through that real quick. But thank you again for coming. This is the second week we've been having this opportunity. I know you got something really great cooked up for us. But as I was sharing earlier, yesterday was election. And we had, this is one of those election where the president is not at the top of the bill, the governor is not at the top of the bill. And I know when I went to vote, I was number 29 and I voted at 6:30 at night.
Wow.
So talk to me and your understanding the importance of voting, or even the history in your voting life.
Oh my goodness. So I have been very fortunate with my history of voting because my father and my uncle were both involved in the first Black mayor's election, Kenneth Gibson. And I was a teenager, and they introduced me to the importance of being civic minded and the importance of voting. And as a teenager, I used to work the phone banks and hand out literature. And then when I got old enough, I was a challenger at the polls. And so it was very important to understand politics and voting and the importance of it and what it did for the community. And, I try to instill that same legacy in my, children and my grandchildren to help them understand that, a lot of people gave up a lot of lives and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to give us the freedom of practicing and honoring the issue of voting, and that if we don't vote, our voice is not heard, and it takes all of our voices to move a mountain. And so I am very, very pleased and blessed to have had the opportunity I've had in understanding the importance of voting.
Let me ask you, because and this is important because I was just bumped into a person, and that was something that they were sharing as far as being invited to be a part of the voting process and the civic process because of the history of what took place. And as much as we respect that side of the history, like you said, the attacks and the vicious suppression that were put upon us as a community of people for the ability and the desire to vote. But can we talk on the other side real quickly, if you can? Because I know in your profession, you've dealt with the side of when the need to voting, or the rationale behind voting, because of how policies and legislation passes through systems. And I know if you worked in some of those systems, you've been in the corporate world, but you also been in the public world as well.
Yes,
And we talk about the impact of what a vote really does and how it trickles down into the community, just not heavy, but just real brightly. Because like I said, to have a person like you on, it's important to be able to bring all this in alignment as well, because our finances, our systems of support in our communities does come from that vote, and how we
yes,
appreciate that, I think, is
that's
important.
correct. So it's very important because one of the things that I learned very early on is how laws are made, in the political government environment, and that voting, when they have referendums or when there's federal legislation that changes policy, or federal dollars that say how money gets spent in education, if you don't vote for the representatives that are representing you at a state and federal and education level, then you're not influencing the type of policies and laws and rules and money that are going to impact your everyday life. And so it's important that we understand that who we put in these offices comes from a vote. And who's on your board, who's sitting on your school board comes from a vote. Who's sitting in the state legislation comes from a vote. Federal government is the same thing. So it's important that we get involved and we understand that our vote has a voice in how money gets distributed, what kind of programs are in the community, and what kind of laws get passed that impact our daily lives. I can't hear.
Part for that. I was just really trying to aim to bring home the understanding of why these things are important, how they line ourselves up to yesterday's importance. Because as we talk and dive in to savings, how our savings and how we could save and how much we could save and the percentage of how we could save comes from the people we vote and put in these different positions throughout our government. So thank you for sharing that. So today we talking about savings. Banking 101 was last week. We just tippy toed into, the basic understandings of banking, some of the things that we might have didn't know, some of the things that we as a community may have known. Yet today we want to take it up a level and talk about savings. So I turn it over to you to give us a thorough but also engaging opportunity to hear from you, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you. So today, last week we talked about banking 101, and it dealt a lot about checking accounts and the different types of checking accounts and how to use checking accounts and some of the things you might want to know about checking. Today, we're going to talk about savings. And, checking is a little easier to understand and use, but savings is a lot harder because it takes a little more discipline for us to figure out what's important and how we save our money and how we pay ourselves first and what we do. So, what I'd like to do today is go through, some information about savings. How do we view our money? What are the benefits of savings? How do I begin to save? Creating a budget and a spending plan, the various types of savings, and how to grow my savings. So these are the features that we're going to touch upon, but it's important to kind of, pick some of these things or one of these things to try to think about it on a personal level as I go through this information, because it's going to be important as you grow and develop your financial status that you understand how to save your money. So be honest and ask yourself, am I saving any money for my future goals? Do I have an emergency fund? Am I accumulating unnecessary debt? Do I need that many credit cards? What is my overall relationship with money? And this is a good slide because it helps us get to some of the more challenging questions and honest questions about us and our relationship to money and what we do with it, how we use it, what's important about it to us, how we may struggle with it. But it's good to have an honest question and answer with yourself about your relationship with money. The benefits of savings. So there are maybe many, many more benefits, but I just pulled out 10 high level benefits. It helps with emergencies because there are always unexpected situations that happen in our lives. It can cushion us against a loss of a job We may have one today, but there's no guarantee that we'll have it tomorrow. It can help us finance big ticket items, that car, a house, refrigerator, living room furniture, whatever that big ticket item might be. It limits our debt. It helps prepare us for retirement. It can improve our standard of living. It helps us learn how to manage our money. It reduces anxiety. And it can give you a sense of control over your money. And it can help build assets. How do I begin to save? Well, the first thing is to create a budget and a spending plan. And to do that, you have to be disciplined to determine your income versus your expenses. And then pay yourself first. And we'll talk a little bit more about paying yourself first and how you can do that. Because when you pay yourself first, you're saying, I'm as worthy as my bill collectors. I'm as worthy as my mortgage holder or my landlord. And it can be a very simple process of just putting say you want to save $1 a week and just put it aside, just like people put change in a jar. Anything and everything counts when you're trying to pay yourself first and begin to save. Pay your necessary households, mortgage, rent, food. Prioritize your bills with your family in mind, their health and safety. And then keep track of your daily spending. Try to find ways to decrease your spending and try to find ways to increase your income. All of these play an important role in how you can begin to save. Saving decision factors. Now, I like this slide a lot. How much money do you want to save over time? How long can you leave your money invested? How do you feel about risking your money? And what is a reasonable amount for you to save each month? So when you make these decisions and then you put it into a plan, it really helps you begin to develop a mindset of saving money. And that's important because if we spend so many Americans, and that's all of us, spend every dime we get. And then we look around and we're like, oh my goodness, I made this much money, but what do I have to show for it? And you can't even sometimes remember all the things that you purchased or did. And then you think, well, maybe I could have done something differently. So if you have a decision factor and you create a budget, then it will really help you begin to understand how you're spending your money, where you might be able to spend less money, and where you might be able to increase your income, all towards savings. Setting financial goals. Make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So specific is, what exactly do you want to accomplish? Measurable, how will you know when you've reached this goal? Achievable, is achieving this goal realistic with effort and commitment? How you access resources to achieve this goal? And if not, how will you get them? Relevance, why is this goal significant to your life? And timely, when will you achieve this goal? So here's an example of a SMART goal for savings. I want to eliminate credit card debt in 12 months. That's specific. I have 2 credit cards. I owe $2,400 combined. That's measurable. I need to pay $200 a month to pay off debt in a year. That's achievable. Being debt free will provide financial freedom and enable me to save for retirement, enjoy vacation, start a business, or just peace of mind. That's relevance. And if I use my credit card, I will charge only the things that I can afford to pay back in full when the bill comes to avoid interest fees. That's timely. So if you use this framework to develop your own SMART goals for savings, and you use the decision factors and you create your budget, then this will set you on a path to understanding what you need to do to begin to save money for you and your family. Saving options. There are two basic ways to save money. You can open a savings account, and that's federally insured. So if you use a bank or a credit union, those institutions are federally insured. So you know whatever money you put in there up to their federal limit, you will have your money in case something goes wrong. So your money is safe. If you invest your money, that money is not federally insured, and you may lose value and not bank guaranteed. So some banks now sell investment products, but those investment products aren't insured the way a savings account is insured, or a checking account is insured, or a certificate of deposit is insured, or a money market fund is insured. So the other thing for you to understand is there are several saving options. So there's savings account, there's certificate of deposits, there are investments, and there are 401k plans. And we're going to talk about each one of these to help you understand what they do, how they help you save, so that when you go to make a decision, you'll be making a decision with informed information. The benefits of a savings account. The benefits of a savings account. Well, it lets you earn interest. And you earn interest when you put your money in a savings account, because the bank pays you, or a credit union pays you, for allowing them to have your money deposited in their institutions. Your money is safe and you have easy access to it. And as I mentioned before, it is insured. So if a bank closes, or a credit union closes, and your money is in there, the federal government is going to guarantee that you're going to have your money given to you. So the FDIC deposit is for the banks, and the National Credit Union Administration is for credit unions. Basic savings account versus money market accounts. So the basic savings account pays interest on your balance. So you may be required to maintain a minimum daily balance, and you may have a lower minimum deposit, and it's usually required to open this type of account, and it has limited withdrawal opportunities, and it comes with an ATM card. Now, a money market savings account, the account usually pays a higher rate of interest. It usually requires a higher minimum balance, and the account pays a higher rate of interest for higher balances, being tiered interest. So you may have a tiered interest on a money market account. And you can make frequent deposits and withdrawals, usually up to 6 withdrawals per cycle. And both of these come with periodic statements. And no matter what kind of an account you have, when you get your statement, you should always review it to make sure it properly tracks what you've deposited and what you've withdrawn. Certificate of deposit and 401k plans. A CD is an account and it requires you to leave your money in for a set term. And that set term can be 6 months, a year, 2 years, or 5 years. You cannot make additional deposits when you put your money into a CD, and you cannot take withdrawals until it matures. And it earns a higher interest rate for longer terms. And you pay a penalty fee if you withdraw before the term has ended. So if you put $500 into a CD and you keep it in there for a year, it's going to earn interest because you're leaving it in there for a year, but you can't put additional $500 in, and you can't take it out before that year without paying a penalty. A 401k contribution, if you are employed, you should ask your employer, or even if you're looking for a job or you go on a job interview, you should ask the employer or potential employer, do they have a 401k program? And then you should also ask them, can you begin investing into your 401k? You should also want to know, do they match it and at what rate? Now, the benefit of a 401k is that you're paying yourself first. So you can do a direct deposit into your 401k from your bank and from your employer. They can put part of it in your checking account, some of it into your savings account, and some of it into a 401k. And then when they begin to match and they say, so if you put 3% of your money into a 401k, after a certain time of employment, I might match that dollar for dollar, or I might match it at 50%. But the employer can tell you whether or not they have a match program. Some employers don't match it. Some employers say, well, you can put your money in, but I'm not going to match it at all. But it's still a way for you to save money. And then the other important thing is that it's long term, and some have loans. So you can, if you have money in a 401k and you decide, well, I really need a loan, and you have and depending on the plan design of the 401k, it may allow you to make a loan where you're making a loan and then you're paying yourself back. So you're making a loan from your 401k if it allows it. And then this money from your checking account or from your check goes back into paying back that loan. So you're paying yourself again, as opposed to paying a bank or another entity for a consumer loan. So that's another way that you can pay yourself back and also invest in your future. Investments. Now, investments are a little more complicated. And really, I have questions that I'm going to go over with you that you should, think about and ask questions about before you make an investment, because they're higher risk, they're not insured, and they're subject to fluctuation. And it's really about the long term. So a long-term savings option for future income or financial benefit is an investment. And many banks sell investment products. Mutual funds are a sort of investment. Investment products are not federally insured, and you must weigh the risk and the returns. So everybody may not have the same level of tolerance for risk when they want to invest their money. They want to invest it safely. They want to invest it securely. And some people want to take a little more risk because they want their money to grow a little faster. So this is the kind of thing that you would have to talk to your bank about, or a reputable financial advisor or an investment firm. And you want to save 8 to 12 months as a savings cushion. So before you invest, try to develop a savings cushion so that you have money saved in another more safe format, and then think about investing. And do your research. Make sure you do research about the firm, do research about the bank, do research about the type of product. Do your research, because this is your money and you want to safeguard it as much as possible before you take this leap of faith. And then ask your employer about retirement accounts. Investment earnings. So, how does my money make money? So, when you invest, you earn money if you sell the investment for more than you paid. So, say you bought a stock that cost $35 when you purchased it, and you kept it for maybe 5 years, and now the stock is worth, say, $100. Well, if you decided that you wanted to sell that stock, you would make money because you bought it at $30 and you're selling it at 100. Another way is it receive dividends and interest earnings. So if you have a dividend, that means that the money is making money and you get a certain amount of money from a dividend that you can keep investing back into the money, or you can take it out. Now, some insurance products have dividends, where if you have a whole life insurance plan and you say, well, I want this insurance. This insurance plan has a dividend factor. So you pay every month to keep your insurance active, but then at the end of a quarter, you might have a dividend. And you can choose to put that dividend back into the insurance so the value grows, or you can pull the dividend out, and that's an extra little amount of money that you can put in a savings account or do something towards something you want to do, like a vacation. The other way is interest earnings. So interest earnings, again, is if you put your money in something, then that entity is saying, well, for you trusting me with your money, I'm going to let you earn interest on it. And interest is a percent of that value that you get attached to what you've put in the bank. So an example would be if you put in $1,000 and the bank is paying maybe, I want to say 3%, then you'll see that 3% as interest. And sometimes the interest happens on a monthly basis if it's a regular account, but then there are other types of accounts in terms of compounding, and we'll talk about that. So, what is compounding? Compounding is your money can grow when you keep it in a financial institution that pays interest. And you earn money on the previously paid interest in addition to the money in your account. So this is where, if you're compounding it, there are different types of compounding. There's daily, monthly, and annually. And when is compounding interest over time? So the more frequently interest compounds, the faster it grows. So if you deposit $1,000 and it has a daily compounding, at the end of the day, you'll have $1,000.03. The next day, the interest would be accumulated or calculated not based on the $1,000, but based on the $1,000.03. So when you go to open your savings account, you want to make sure you understand how is it compounding? What is the interest rate? And then you want the banker to explain to you what you can anticipate to see in interest. And then you also want to understand how it's being compounded. Is it a daily one? Is it monthly compounding? Or is it annual compounding? So make sure you have those discussions with any banker that you use for opening a savings account. questions about investment products. So this is really important because you want to make sure you ask really good questions so that there's a dialogue between you, whether you're using a bank who's selling product investment products, whether you're going to investment firm, or whether you're going to a financial planner. You want to make sure you understand what the product is and how the product works and what the risk of the product is. So, what fees are associated with this investment, and are there ways to avoid them? For example, purchasing and selling directly without the assistance of an agent. Some products are like that, some aren't. And you really want to make sure you understand a fee schedule because fees can really eat into whatever money you think you're going to be saving if you don't understand how they work. What are specific risks with this investment? Stock, stock market fluctuations, interest rate variations, the state of the economy. So I'm sure all of us are familiar with, the discussion in the news media when they're talking about how the Dow did and, it went up, it went down, it's a bull market. All of that is important information on how stock is influenced and how money is invested and how you're going to make money or lose value on the investments that you made. That's why they tell you it's a long-term process. It's a long-term savings. You can't you can't react to it in a way that you want to just pull your money out when it goes down. You want to go in for the long term. It's really important that you select the right type of company to invest with, so that you understand how you're making these decisions and how they're being paid versus how you're being paid. How will this investment make money? Interest, capital gains, or dividends? Interest, we talked about. Capital gains are a little different in that because it's a capital, they might be using your money to invest in more capital, bigger projects. So there might be a gain from that, or dividends, like I explained with the insurance policies. So you want to understand how that particular investment product is going to make money. What happens to this investment? What must happen to make this investment grow? So that also has a lot to tie back into fees, how it's earning the money, whether it's capital gains, interest, or dividends. So you want to understand how the product that you want to invest in or the stock that you want to invest in is going to grow your money. How do I liquidate this investment if there's an emergency? So you want to understand all of the components around investment and your money. You want to understand, is it like a CD? If I put it in there, can I get it out? Mutual funds are a good example. That's where, it's like, well, I don't want to just invest in one type of fund. I want a group of funds. And so people use mutual funds to get an investment on a group of products as opposed to one stock product. So you really want to understand, can I take my money out? Well, is there a penalty? What is the cost of me taking my money out? What are the fees? How much of my investment will I lose if I need it on an emergency basis? And is the product registered with the SEC, Security Exchange Commission, and with my state security agency? This is very, very important, because, you want to make sure that there's some regulatory environment that is monitoring the organization or the person or the company that is selling you these investment products. And that's another way that you can research about the value and the type and what others and how they're being perceived by regulators on the type of investments that they're selling. So this is one of the areas where you can do some research by going to the SEC website and looking up the product, looking up the company that's selling the product, and understanding whether or not they had any type of regulatory mishap when they were managing these funds. Questions to ask a sales agent. So when you have questions about the product that you want to ask them, which is very important, but you also want to ask them questions about their ability to sell these products and how they make money. Are they registered with the state regulator? Have they ever received a disciplinary action? Do they get compensated? And how do they get compensated? Is it by commission or assets? Or do they manage another method on how they get paid from your investment? Are they participating in any sales campaigns that involve prizes? Do they make money if you buy this product versus another product? Because some of them, will try to sell something because they might have a bonus attached to it. And it might be good for them, but it may not be that good for you. If they weren't selling that product and they weren't making money from that product, would they recommend another product and why? So you always want to ask them, well, why are you recommending this product based on what I told you were my financial goals or what I told you I'd like to do in the long term? So this is another way that you would want them to explain to you why they're recommending a particular investment product. And will you receive statements, and what will the statement include? And how much are you going to be paying in fees? And what criteria will you use to determine when you should sell? So these are all questions that you can ask a sales agent. And when you do your research, there may be other questions that you might come to mind as you are trying to understand a particular investment product. And it's important to, do your homework, take your time, don't rush into anything, because this is your money. And unlike a savings account or a CD, it doesn't have the protection of the federal government. So you just want to make sure you understand what you're doing and who you're working with. So these are some additional tips about savings, and they're, just little tidbits. Develop a spending plan. Well, we talked about that. Carry small amounts of cash to help limit what you spend. Eliminate or control your use of credit cards. Only use them when you absolutely have to. Avoid shopping for fun. If you can, learn how to window shop. Take your written savings plan with you as a way to kind of keep you reminded that you're trying to save your money so you won't just shop at will. Buy the things you need versus the things you want. Use coupons to save money. Use grocery shopping lists so that you're not going in and, just buying anything. Stick to the list. Shop around for the best deal when you're buying big ticket items like appliances and cars and things of that nature. Pay your bills on time to avoid late fees or extra finance charges or utilities to be cut off, because you don't want to do anything that can have an impact on your credit score. And you will have to pay your checking you don't have to pay when you use your checking account, because that money is going into your checking account free of charge. So this is this information about the SEC. And this is just another way to do some research. And if you invested in something and you're not comfortable with, what they sold you or how it's performing, and you're just not sure, you can always contact them and say, I'd like to report something because I'm not sure it was sold to me in good faith, or that the sales agent was being ethical. So this is another way for you to not only do research, but to report an issue. So as I said, when I do these things, I'm going to give you information that comes from our website, not necessarily because I want you to um, go to industrial bank and open account, but as a way to do additional research, to help you get a better understanding of the types of products and the types of savings accounts that a bank offers. And it can help you grow your knowledge for when you want to go to whatever bank of choice you want to use. So this is just additional information. And there's also information that I'll be sharing next week, because we have a new platform that has a host of information on helping you track how you're doing with your savings. There are courses that you can take. So I'll be sharing that information next week, that you can use to kind of just go in and do some wonderful things. I'm really proud that Industrial Bank offers all of these unique platforms and trainings and videos to the community at large. And it doesn't cost you. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not. It's not tied to you opening an account. It's not tied to you visiting the bank. It's just you going to the website and using the tools that we offer the public, so that you can become more informed and track how you're using and saving your money, or how you should be planning to save your money. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I look forward to my Wednesday evenings with you, and I hope that you're getting as much benefit from them as I am getting a benefit of sharing this information with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A lot of times, and I'm learning how to do it, Karen. I like to jump in, but you had so many questions that you answered that was in line with the questions I had. I want to now, as I want to thank definitely the people that took the time out, they time, their energy. My friend B, amazing Arthur. I don't say her whole name because that's a ghostwriter. I don't want to put a whole name out there. But also one thing, TB, Terrence Bankston, Erica, Bever for coming through. Our friend Andel, my brother. Thank you for saying hello and stepping in. Also, Miss Green, I see you. Thank you, Tawana, for also coming through. And Andrew, my famous and important financial advisor, aka my CPA. I thank you for also tuning in and listening, and also observing as we bring partners into our community, with Karen and her organization, bringing in, like you said, not just aiming to get anybody to do commerce or business, as much as educating and just insightfully giving us the opportunity to know how to move. Kind of reminds me of that Christmas movie where he sat there and kept telling people to where else to go to get the things they needed because Macy's ain't have it. So we thank you for being there, but willing to share openly the ways to navigate if we were at your organization or not. We really look for that type of leadership to give us choices, because we know in the choices comes the freedom. So thank you so much. And thank you again, because we can't do this without the listeners. We can't do this without the people who are checking in and just, always giving us the opportunity to utilize their investment. And that's
Right.
their time, their energy, their resources of listening. And come back next week and
Yes.
listen in, because we have a slew of this is going up. Like, we
Yes.
start, we meet you where you at, but You gotta ride this plane with us, because once again, all of us are in this community, but we all starting at a different level of understanding. So I'm looking forward to how we continue to move, how we continue to build community, how we continue to involve this beloved community of parents and community leaders and organizational leaders that support us, Terrell Fund, the Industrials Bank, and so many others, and my parent champions that stand next to us, and make sure we're able to do this all year and consistently be involved in the development of our community. We got some important things coming up. Once again, we just want to continue to keep people understood and involved. We have on the fourth annual Soup for Souls, November 18th from 10 to 4 p.m. Our friend at Always Fresh, please check her out in Bloomfield, making some amazing bowls, some very, tasteful. Listen, please don't go on Friday and get that salmon, because I'll be there. Please don't take all the salmon. She ran out of salmon one time I was there. But listen, she's giving back to the community, and we're going to be hosting this at Berkeley College, downtown North. Once again, PP will be supplying winter coats for the children, brand new winter coats for the children. Your resources and donations allows this to continuously happen. And then right there, right before we all sit down and grab something to put in our stomach, we're gonna be out there with Pastor Paul and Rocker Life Nation, Rocker Life Church, and Detroit Sea Health Life, and engage in that community once again as they give out dinners and meals to the community, and we partner with them in giving out coats to our children, our family members, our communities. And just because they are thoroughly engaging, we also have it in Spanish for our listeners and for our viewers as well. So we want to thank these two partners for continuously working diligently in the community, sharing the importance of collaboration, cooperation, and coalition as we strengthen in this community. So please donate to this time, donate to this energy, and donate to the resources that we continue to gather as we build this grassroots organization based on making sure that the opportunities of organizing the resources that's amongst us is being done in a transitional synergy. So we make sure it is definitely as transformative as it needs to be, but we also in the movement of action. So thank you again. Look forward to talking to you guys next week, and have a great evening.